Today's video I'm going to start on resealing the steering gear, and the first thing you got to do is center it. So I'm going to count how many turns. I'm going to turn it to lock. Okay, that's lock. I'm going to put a mark on the shaft with a Sharpie. I'm going to line it up with that. So that's 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, just a fuzz more than 4 turns. I mean, like that much more. So we'll split that difference right to there, and then we'll go back. Well, it doesn't really matter. I'll just go back 1, 2 turns. So that gear should be centered. That's lined up, so that should be centered. Next step, I'm going to loosen these up. Maybe I ought to get the impact and get them quickly. Yeah, I'm going to be there wrecking my hand. So just a tap with the intake. Those bolts are out. Now I'm going to tap that this out. Sector shaft. A little bit of crud on where the bushing goes. Yeah, that needs cleaning up big time. I think that's actually where the seal goes. That's the sealing surface there. And this is where the bushing rides. So yeah, that's probably why the seal leaked. Yeah, the bushing I can see in there. So can you see the bushing and all the seals and everything in there? Snap ring stuck in the top. Let me give it a screwdriver here. Whoops. Sorry if my arm's in the way. It's just hard to video doing this kind of stuff. Got the snap ring out. I just had to grab it with regular pliers and twist it around, and it came right out. First thing out, and the seal kit comes with these and the snap rings, all the stuff new. So I'll set that there. You can see the fluid is leaking out. All right, let me this just lifted right out. I got to find my seal extractor. All right, I got the seals out. I had to use this, and I ended up knocking my camera silly, sending it flying. And but yeah, the seal was this seal up in there, this washer, this seal, this washer, and the snap ring. That's the way the assembly came out. So I don't know what that cap's off of. So this is the new bushing. See, it fits that fairly nicely. So let me just slide the bushing off and slide this in the steering gear. See how that moves around? More this way than this way. That's probably about normal right there. Maybe a little looser than normal for it just being shoved in one end, but that way is excessive. So we got to replace that bushing. So I don't have the special tools to do this, so I'm going to have to come up with something to do it. I found a socket that was just a little smaller than the OD of the seal, and we're going to try and push it out, the bushing. Or I'm sorry, not the seal, the bushing. Yeah, you can see the wear in it. It's significant. They probably ran it without fluid, you know, it probably started leaking. The pump went dry, and then they just drove the car without fluid in the power steering. It probably steered pretty hard, but that's usually what is the demise of these bushings. And that's why I'm going to take the pump apart to see if it ran dry, and if it did, I'll have to go through it. Alright, let's get the new bushing. I might use this in the shaft as a special tool to put the new bushing in. I cleaned the edges here where the seals go. Why the old bushing is out. And the shop manual says to put Vaseline on the, you know, this part of the bushing. Just regular. And so you'd never want to put things together dry, and I rubbed it down and around in the bore there. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this together. I'm going to put some on the inside because the special tool, there's a picture of it in the shop manual. So I think I'm going to put that bushing on, this bushing in, put it down in there, and use that bushing to push this bushing in. I'm going to try it, hope for the best. If it doesn't work and I screw up the bushing, I'll be buying a new bushing. So I'm using this fixture, hopefully, so the shaft, I think, will come through there. If it hits it, I'll have to stop it and move it. I got to get a light so I can see how far to push that bushing in. Hopefully that gear doesn't hit before it's in. Just maybe a fuzz more. I think we'll have a look at that and see if that's in. If it's not, I'll put it in some more. Maybe just a 32nd of an inch more. That might be enough right there. I'm going to take a look at it, and we'll go for it. Just don't want to press it back and forth a bunch of times. Fuzz more in. Just a fuzz. Oh, nice that shaft fits in there now. Whoops, well, you're going to just have to wait for me to turn my jack totally retracted. I didn't close the valve soon enough. Whoops. Whoopsie daisies there. Alright, I'm going to pull it back again. So this time I'm not going to let the jack all the way out. And that looks perfect. So we got the new bushing in, and I'll show you. Yeah, perfect. Let's see what kind of slop we have in it now. Look at that. No slop. Let's just put the old bearing on the shaft and compare it to when I wiggle it with the, look at that. Look at how much movement's in that. Yeah, 99% of the time when you have a steering gear leak, it's because this is worn out. You can put all the seals in it all you want, it's still going to leak if you don't replace this bushing. It's the most common cause of leaks in a steering gear. Not that difficult to replace, as you can see. On this, there's a little groove from there to there, and one from there to there. And that's not where the seal rides. And this is a machining mark. This is actually, this whole surface here is a little bit, about 2/1000ths less than this. So probably so it go through the bushing easier, but I took these seals and I put them up to where they go, and those grooves are from where the washers, sorry, I'm not holding it up enough. Those grooves are from where the washers were for these seals. The sealing surface is actually just below right there. Whoops, and so it doesn't seal on that groove. That's where this washer, you know, probably when that worn bushing was allowing it to dig into that washer and causing it to wear. So I'm not going to worry about that. I think this will seal up fine. I was thinking, oh, maybe I need to get a new shaft, but that's from the washers. It has nothing to do with the seals there. Then I pushed the wrong button when I put that seal in, but that seal goes in, you know, the lip towards that way. Then this goes in. And this seal goes in lip same way. I thought maybe they went like this to keep the dirt out, but the shop manual says that they both go in that way. So we'll get that one in, and I'll try and push the right button this time when we push that one in. And take note, it says it has a, show up there, it has a Ford thing on it, and all the numbers. It has a 4 EAC, and then it has a 3591, and an AA, and then an IPO, and then it looks like 159, and then the Ford logo. I just want to make sure it's all the way down in. The steering gear was not on that block straight. I would say it's in. We'll have a look at it. Yep. Seals and snap ring are in. I'm going to do this seal too. This rubber dust boot thing just is cracking and falling off. That's the little metal part. This part of the dust seal. And this is the seal looks like in there. And I'm kind of thinking, you know, I don't really want to take the spool valve off and take it apart because first off, I don't have the special tool to undo the nut and retorque it to the proper torque spec. And second off, I don't want to take a chance on damaging the valve in there. I mean, just a nick will mess it up. So I think I'm going to do this the way I usually do these. A lot of times I don't even take these off the car to fix the leaks. You know, I just drill a little tiny hole in each side there. The sheet metal screw will go into, and just take my slide hammer and just pull them out. And then I can just take something that fits over this and tap the new ones in. I think the new one, you put it in a little bit, and then you put the snap ring in, then you tap it in until the snap ring snaps, and then you put the dust seal in and you're done. But I'll just, you know, in case you want to see the inside of the gear, how they work, I'll show you. So as you turn the wheel, it moves that rack in there, and you can see, I don't know if you can see in there or not. Let me try and get the light a little better. I'll move some things here. Can you see the special nut in there, that funny shaped nut? That's where the spool valve, I don't know if you can see the spool valve in there or not, but that pressurizes one side or the other to help push that, turn that shaft. And that just moves back and forth in there. And there's little like ball bearings that ride in the shaft that turns, and they're just held in with a little tube there so they don't fall out everywhere. And as that turns back and forth, it just grabs that gear and turns it, which turns the steering wheel which turns the... Well, now that the air compressor's pumped up, I didn't remember where I was. But anyway, yeah, that just kind of moves this to turn the car. And pretty simple. Steering gears are pretty darn simple. But I don't want to take the spool valve apart if I can avoid it, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So I just drill a couple little holes in that. And then just take a screw that I've ground the sharp tip off. And because this is just a dust seal and there's another seal in behind it, that works pretty good. And you can put a slide hammer on it. To get the other seal out, I'll do a slide hammer. I got the little snap ring out, and I was just cleaning this up in here. Cleanliness is kind of important. So try and clean it up the best you can before you take the seal out. This seal didn't leak sitting, but I never ran the engine to pressurize the system. So yeah, this seal could very well leak, so that's why I'm changing it. So there, that's all pretty clean in that groove. Clean the snap ring groove out. So I'll have to find something that fits the snap ring that goes over the shaft, because you push the seal in just until the snaps, and that's what they tell you to do anyway. So let me drill a couple little holes in there for the screw, and we'll pop that puppy out. So I don't get any drillings in the gear, I run the vacuum as I drill to suck the chips away. I need something to hold the gear so I can push on it. Alright, I just gently push, not too hard, because when you go through you don't want to bash into things on the other side. And I'll just screw this in a little bit. Might go get a second one this same screw size. And again, you want to take that little sharp tip off so you don't bite it into anything. That's all you need to do. Okay, let me get the slide hammer on that and we'll pop it out. I have this little adapter doohickey you can put in a pair of vice grips, the hook, and then the slide hammer just threads into that. I can just clamp this on the screw and yank. Alright, let's see if we can pull a seal out without landing the steering gear on the floor. So I only needed, I guess, one screw, but we got two, and you can see they don't go through, so you don't hit anything in your valve. There's a bearing right here. Let me show you the bearing. That's the bearing. You don't want to run anything into that. So now I'm going to get the new seal ready to go in. I got to find some tools to install it, a few odds and ends to install it. That's my slide hammer setup. Yeah, it's a little overkill for that. I mean, just a little tiny one would do the job, but that's what I have. That's the little doodad. You take this out of the vice grips and you thread that in place of this, and then you can use it on the slide hammer. Yeah, that rubber is pretty hard, so it's a good chance it might have seeped a little. So it's a good thing to put a new seal in it. The shop manual states to coat this in gear oil, start it in the housing enough to where I can start the snap ring, and then tap it in until the snap ring snaps and it's installed. So I got some gear oil here. I also have a socket that fits in. It's kind of tight. Maybe I'll see if I can find something that fits that a little looser, but it goes in there, but it is tight, and I want it to go in a little looser. So I might look for another tool. It doesn't hit the shaft, but I'm going to look for something else to, push that in. That fits that seal pretty nicely, but just a little on the tight side. Maybe with some oil on it, it'd be okay. It does go in about to that snap ring groove, but I don't want to get this lodged in the casting. I was able to just push it in a little bit with my fingers. Now I'm going to put the snap ring in, and then I will push it in the rest of the way. There we go, and then we push it in until that snap ring seats. Let me find something just a smidge thinner than the socket. Found an impact socket that was more closer to the size I needed, and I'm just going to tap this in. I think that snap ring just went in. Yep, snap ring. I'm just going to give it a couple extra little taps. Yep. So that seal is in. And now I'll put the dust thing on, and then we can finish putting the gear together. What I want to do is just really look and make sure I got that snap ring seated all the way around. And it totally is. So now I can put this seal in. Let me get my little hammer and tap the socket and tap that in. Don't you hate that when you set things down and then you can't see where you set them down? I think I need a little smaller socket. Let me take this seal and go find the socket's just too big for this dust seal. Yeah, it's just not right. Alright, let's tap this little sucker in. There we go. Alright, let me put the new O-ring on here and put the sector shaft. I got to recenter this and then degrease it and paint it. Put this back in. I put a little high tack on that. There's a square seal right here that fits in a groove, and I put a little high tack on it to just to make sure it seats in there. Tap it in. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to turn it before I bolt it up and make sure it works. Got it all together. I'm going to set the preload on it, but it seems to work good. So right there's supposed to be a little bit more inch-pounds of torque than like off-center. So I'm going to find something that fits this spline, maybe a socket or something, that I can put my inch-pound torque wrench that has a dial on it, so I can set the preload with that. So the shop manual says the sector shaft load total over mechanical center position must be 8 to 9 inch-pounds greater than off-center torque of 2 to 7 inch-pounds, and the maximum is 14 inch-pounds. And I'm going to check that because of that worn bushing. Sometimes people loosen that nut and reef that down to take slop out of the steering to make up for the loose sector. Alright, I got a dying battery and a almost full memory card, so I'm going to do this kind of quick. There, I'm going through the center. And it's about maybe 6 inch-pounds. Next is clean up, degrease the steering gear and paint it. And if you like my video, hit the like button. If you want to see this beautiful Galaxie resurrected, then please subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching.